Even though the newly revised food pyramid put whole grains on the bottom, it still emphasizes the importance of daily whole grains. But sometimes getting whole grains into your day-to-day diet can feel a little bit boring. With fresh milled flour baking, however, that changes, especially in winter when baking is just as much about cozy and comfort as it is about nourishment. Now, I'm not saying that cake should be part of your daily diet, but if you are going to bake a cozy cake this winter, a great place to start is with a fresh milled flour cake. Here I am recipe testing a fresh milled sourdough red velvet cake for Valentine's Day. And you probably saw just a second ago, I stirred together a little bit of white vinegar with some whole milk, and I'll talk about that in just a second, but that is a makeshift buttermilk that I am making. But while that rests, I am milling some soft white wheat. Soft wheat is ideal for things like cakes and pastries. I'll talk more about the difference between soft wheat and hard wheat in a minute when I'm making fresh milled dinner rolls, but just know for now I'm using soft wheat. When you mill flour, it contains all three parts of the wheat berry, the endosperm, bran, and germ, and that bran and germ can be a little hard. So often folks want to know, how can I make softer baked goods with fresh milled flour? One way to do that is to sift the bran and germ out, which leaves you with just that softer flour, the endosperm. I don't do that because I feel like if I'm milling flour, I want all of that nutrition. So an option that I prefer is to use tenderizing ingredients like buttermilk, which is where that milk and vinegar mixture comes into play, and here sourdough starter. Sourdough starter is acidic, and that buttermilk is acidic, and those acids can tenderize the cake batter, leaving you with a softer fresh milled cake. Also, increasing the fats in the recipe can create a softer cake too. This recipe uses butter and oil plus those acidic ingredients, and the cake is really soft. Honestly, even without sifting the flour, I can't really tell the difference between a fresh milled cake that's sifted and one that isn't. I think it's important to remember that you'll never have a cake that tastes like it's made with white flour when you're using fresh milled flour, because they are two very different ingredients. But you can make a really soft and tender cake. The other thing I should mention here is I left out the food coloring in this cake because the red food coloring in red velvet cake only adds a visual aesthetic. It doesn't actually add anything to the quality of the cake. And here I am simply frosting the cake with a cream cheese frosting. I was in a race against sunset here. I really needed daylight for this, so I did not film making the frosting, but you can get that recipe on my sourdough carrot cake post over on my blog at moonandmagnolia.com. It is delicious. My husband and I both agree that fresh milled sweets like this taste better than ones made with white flour because they have a richer flavor. And you can see here, this is a super soft crumb. The cake is really moist and delicious, and I don't think anyone eating this would miss the white flour at all. If you have a favorite cake recipe or actually any baking recipe that you want to convert from all-purpose to fresh milled flour, I have a free conversion chart that you can download and print. I will leave a link for that in the description box below, but it's available over on my blog at moonandmagnolia.com. Fresh milled cornbread is one of my all-time favorite fresh milled recipes, and I am pairing it with a slow cooker chili. And I know this is a baking video, but what I really want to emphasize here is that fresh milled baking doesn't always have to be cakes and pastries. Your fresh milled baking is a way to add whole grains and nutrition to the meals that you are already serving. So here I am just throwing together a super quick and easy slow cooker chili. I used ground turkey, onions, bell peppers, frozen corn, 2 cans of home canned baked beans. I wasn't sure how that was going to work out, but spoiler alert, it was delicious. Some home canned tomatoes and some seasonings. I think I used smoked paprika, chili powder, and cumin. And then I just let that go in the slow cooker all day. To make the fresh milled cornbread, I am first milling dent corn in my mock mill. Not every mill is capable of milling corn, so make sure to check with your manufacturer's instructions. Dent corn is a little bit softer, but first I'm milling it on the coarsest setting. So I'm turning my mock mill all the way up to setting 20, so that way I can just get these big, hard bits of corn. But you can see even after milling on the coarsest setting, there's still a lot of corn flour mixed in there. So the first step is to sift through this. So you want to sift it out so you get all the corn flour or the cornmeal in one bowl and those hard bits in a separate bowl. Then I'm changing the setting on my mock mill to about the middle setting. I usually put it somewhere between 9 and 10, and I take all those hard bits that I separated out and I mill them again on this middle setting. And then I sift the cornmeal out again. But what's really nice about this is you have that really fine flour for your cornbread, and all of the remaining bits left over are perfect for grits. I actually have the recipe for this cornbread and the grits over on my blog, so that way when you mill corn, you can make two recipes out of it. What I do with those leftover hard bits is I put them in a container and stick them in the fridge, and then when I have more time, I make grits with them. I usually wait until the weekends because fresh milled grits can take an hour or more to cook, so that way I just don't feel so rushed. But with this fresh milled cornbread, then the other thing I'm doing is milling some more soft white wheat. So this is a combination of fresh milled corn and fresh milled soft wheat. You may have noticed that for the corn, I just threw 2 cups of whole kernel corn in the mill. And then for the soft wheat, I used my scale to weigh in grams. The reason why I did those two things differently is because with the whole kernel corn, it's a little hard to tell how much corn you need to get 1 cup of corn flour, which is what you need for this recipe. For my mill, it's usually 2 cups of whole kernel corn. But with the soft white wheat, we're not sifting it, so it's a little more clear how much you need. And in this case, it's 180 grams or about 1.5 cups. But I like to weigh my wheat berries in grams because what you put in the mill is what you get out. So if you need 180 grams of flour and you weigh out 180 grams of wheat berries, as long as you're not sifting it, you end up with 180 grams of flour. The remaining ingredients are super simple. You have sugar, baking powder, salt, melted butter, egg, and milk. And you mix everything together, pour it in a greased pan, and then you bake it at 350, I'd say for about 25 minutes or so. We had a really late night this particular night, and we didn't even eat this dinner until after 8 o'clock, but it was really cold outside. But when we came home, we had warm, slow-cooked chili with homemade fresh milled cornbread waiting for us. And on a cold, busy weeknight, it doesn't get much better than that. I have been experimenting a lot with fresh milled bread baking, and I've been trying things from sourdough all the way to yeast breads, with additives, without additives, and I'm really starting to dial in a fresh milled process that makes bread super soft and as close as you can get to a white bread, but with still having 100% whole grains or 100% fresh milled flour. So for almost all of my fresh milled bread recipes, like these dinner rolls, I use a combination of hard white wheat and kamut. So kamut is also a hard wheat, but the reason why I'm using hard wheat for bread and soft wheat for cakes, for example, is because hard wheat contains more gluten. You need all that gluten in the hard wheat so you can have a nice rise to your bread. But if you had all of that gluten in your cake, for example, you'd end up with a tough cake. So that's why you use soft wheat for cakes and pastries and hard wheat for breads. For these fresh milled dinner rolls, the first thing I'm doing is combining all of the ingredients with the exception of the active dry yeast and salt, and then letting it rest for 30 to 45 minutes. I am using Vital Wheat gluten to increase the amount of gluten in the recipe so it rises better, and sunflower lecithin as an emulsifier so that way it can mix the liquids and fats more thoroughly into the dough. Once that dough rests or autolyzes for 30 to 45 minutes, I'm then adding in the yeast and the salt. Now, if you've been following Moon and Magnolia for a while, you probably know that I love everything sourdough, but I have found over the last, I'd say 6 months to a year or so, that I really prefer fresh milled bread made with active dry yeast because it isn't quite as sour. It has a much more mild flavor. And I think it's really important when we're talking about fresh milled flour baking to make sure that you are finding recipes and processes that work for you and that your family enjoys. Because the whole point here is to get more nutrition and healthier ingredients into the things that we eat day to day. But if you or your family doesn't like them, then it almost has no point. When I make fresh milled sourdough bread, most of my family won't eat it. When I make fresh milled bread with yeast, everyone devours it. So I really encourage you to not pigeonhole yourself into one way of baking and to try different recipes and see what works and see what doesn't and learn what your family likes best. Now, you could definitely make something like a fresh milled sandwich bread if that's what you prefer, but there's something about rolls that are a little cozier to me. I usually only have rolls in the winter time with things like soups or hot sandwiches or even holiday meals. And then I make sandwich breads often in the summertime because I'm having things like cold sandwiches and quick meals, those sorts of things. Rolls take a little more effort in that you have to divide and shape a lot of little pieces, but they do have big reward because there's nothing better than a warm roll with butter. It took about an hour and a half for the dough to rise, and then I divided the dough into 16 pieces. 15 works better because it fits into the baking dish better, but it's easier to divide them into 16. And then I'm just shaping them and placing them in a baking dish. When you place those shaped dough balls into the dish, leave about a 1/4 inch or so in between them so that way they have room to rise. You could smush them all together in one dish and have pull-apart rolls. Those are also delicious too, but for individual rolls, I do recommend keeping a little bit of space between them. I am pairing these rolls with a soup that I'm making out of one of my chicken marinade freezer meals. So I got that going while the rolls were rising, but you can see here, after about an hour and a half, the rolls are now touching. So once the rolls are puffy and they're starting to touch, it's time to bake them. So I bake these at 350 for about 25 minutes or so. Right toward the end, I bump the heat up to 375 just for a couple minutes so they brown. And then maybe the most important part is I brush them with butter right when they come out of the oven. Brushing them with butter, not only does it taste good, but it also holds in the moisture, creating a softer roll. I've also brushed them with honey butter. That makes them even a little bit softer and really delicious, but they are really sticky that way. So that's up to you. But on a cold winter's night, it's so nice to have your home smelling like fresh bread with warm soup and some hearty whole grain bread. Last up on the fresh milled winter baking menu are sourdough, fresh milled chocolate chip muffins. It's a lot to say. This is one of my 4-year-old daughter's favorite fresh milled recipes. She really loves these. So we are back to using soft white wheat again because remember that soft white wheat is for pastries, which includes muffins. The thing about whole grains is that they are nutrient dense and they're full of fiber and it keeps you full for a really long time. If I eat one of these muffins for breakfast, I don't feel like I need anything else to eat until lunchtime because those whole grains really are nourishing. And this recipe is full of nourishing ingredients, including, of course, 100% whole grain flour. There's 1 cup of sugar in it, but you could cut that back if you prefer. Avocado oil instead of butter. The recipe on my blog for this calls for sour cream, but I use Greek yogurt in this case for more protein. And then there's eggs and whole milk. And of course, some chocolate chips, but you can scale the chocolate chips up or down depending on your preferences. But these are really good, nourishing ingredients. And when I make these muffins, they're basically a meal for us, especially in the mornings. The sourdough starter discard that I put into the batter does help tenderize the muffins, but it's not necessary. So if you don't have a starter, don't even worry about it. You can leave that part out. If you notice when I add sourdough starter to these recipes, it's usually made with white flour. That's just a personal preference because I don't always feel like milling flour when I feed my sourdough starter. It's really up to you. But for me, I feel that 100% whole grain in the recipe with 50 to 100 grams of sourdough starter made with white flour is not a problem for us. You can throw in whatever types of chocolate chips you prefer. I don't know why. I have like 3 bags of chocolate chips and they're all different in my fridge. I'm not sure what happened there. So I actually just used a mix so I can get through some of those. But one of the things I really like to do with this for a finishing touch is to sprinkle the tops with some mini chocolate chips. That just makes them look really pretty, but it's also really nice and cozy to bite into some warm chocolate when you're eating a muffin like this. One little hack to make your fresh milled muffins rise better is to bake them at 425 for just 5 minutes in the very beginning and then drop the heat to 350 and finish the baking process. Because it has the Brandon germ in it, sometimes the rise isn't quite as good with fresh milled flour, but that burst of high heat kind of supercharges the leavening agents and gives a nice high rise for your muffins. I hope you are having the coziest winter in the kitchen baking with your fresh milled flour. Thank you so much for stopping by today, and I'll see you again next time.